Ladies and gentlemen, there is a profound power in working in silence. In a world that constantly demands validation, recognition, and instant results, it's easy to get caught up in the noise, seeking approval, attention, and praise for every step we take. But the most meaningful transformations, the most impactful achievements, often come from the quiet, unseen moments where we are fully immersed in our work, driven by our internal compass, not the external noise. When we choose to work in silence, we shift our focus from seeking outward validation to cultivating an inner sense of purpose and strength. It's in this silence that our true potential is unlocked. When we work in silence, we are able to immerse ourselves in the present moment, free from the distractions and judgments of others. This state of focus allows us to channel our energy toward our goals without the interference of external opinions or expectations. Too often, we are conditioned to share every detail of our progress, seeking reassurance, feedback, and approval along the way. But the process of creation, whether it's personal growth, a project, or a goal, requires a different kind of attention. It requires undivided energy, a singular focus, and a quiet determination. When we are fully immersed in our work, without the need to announce or explain ourselves, we are operating at our highest potential. This is where true mastery is born, when we put in the work without expecting anything in return except the satisfaction of knowing we are aligned with our purpose. The beauty of working in silence is that it allows us to detach from the outcome. When we are no longer preoccupied with the validation of others or the need for immediate recognition, we can trust the process and let it unfold in its own time. This is not about retreating from the world, but about cultivating an inner strength that doesn't need to be constantly confirmed by external sources. The work we do in silence is what shapes us, what prepares us for the moments when we are ready to step into the light. It's in the quiet moments of dedication that we refine our skills, develop our resilience, and build the foundation for something far greater than we can fully understand in the moment. And as we do this, others begin to notice. They will see the results, the transformation, and wonder how you achieved it. They may not understand the depth of your journey or the work you put in behind the scenes, but that's not the point. The point is that your silence speaks louder than words ever could. It is through your actions, not your explanations, that your impact is felt. You no longer need to boast or announce your intentions. Your work speaks for itself, and the quality of your effort is all that matters. By choosing to work in silence, you free yourself from the need for validation and open up the space to fully immerse in your own growth and evolution. This is where true transformation happens, not in the outward applause or recognition, but in the quiet, focused dedication to your path. The more you immerse yourself in this practice, the more you will realize that the results will speak volumes, and others will inevitably begin to wonder about you. They'll wonder how you moved with such grace, how you achieved so much without the fanfare, how you became the person they now admire and respect. And in that quiet, unseen space, you'll know that the journey you took was the one that truly mattered. Silence holds a unique power, one that is often overlooked in today's fast-paced world. We are constantly surrounded by noise, external distractions, the need for constant validation, and the pressure to be seen and heard. Yet the most transformative work is often done in quiet moments, away from the spotlight. When we choose to work in silence, we are free from the need for approval and the pressure of others' expectations. We shift from seeking recognition to focusing solely on the process, allowing ourselves to immerse fully in the work at hand. This deep focus creates an environment where true mastery can emerge, where dedication becomes the driving force, not the desire for praise. When we work in silence, we create space for innovation and creativity. It is in the absence of distractions and the quiet of our minds that the most profound insights emerge. We allow our thoughts to deepen and our actions to become more intentional. Instead of getting caught up in the external world, we are free to explore new ideas, push boundaries, and refine our craft without judgment or comparison. The pressure to perform for others fades, and what remains is an authentic connection to our purpose, to the task we are working on, and to our own inner strengths. This silence isn't just about external quiet, it's about cultivating an internal peace that enables clarity and focus. When we remove the constant noise from our environment, we also remove the inner noise, the self-doubt, the distractions, and the fears that can hold us back. It allows us to tap into a deeper level of consciousness, one that is not influenced by external opinions or outcomes. We are free to be fully immersed in the present moment, giving our full attention to the work, without worrying about the end result or how others will perceive it. In this quiet space, we create something far more meaningful than the surface-level recognition that often comes with public achievements. The work done in silence builds a foundation of strength and resilience that is not dependent on the approval of others. It's through this dedication away from the external validation that real transformation occurs. The more we work in silence, the more we become attuned to the subtle energies that guide us, allowing us to refine our craft and align ourselves with a higher sense of purpose. This is where real growth takes place, in the moments when we are fully immersed in our work and completely detached from the need for others to notice. In a world that constantly demands validation, the need to be seen and acknowledged can often overshadow the deeper purpose of our work. Many times we find ourselves focused on how others will perceive us, whether it's through social media, praise from peers, or recognition from leaders. However, when we shift our attention from seeking validation to dedicating ourselves quietly to our craft, we tap into an entirely different kind of power. This power lies in the work itself, in the quiet commitment to improvement, and the unspoken belief that what we are doing has value, even if no one else sees it right away. Working in silence means not relying on external feedback to fuel our motivation. It's about setting a goal, committing to it, and taking consistent, intentional action, without the need for applause along the way. When we stop seeking validation, we free ourselves from the weight of comparison and competition. Instead of measuring our progress by how others perceive it, we measure it by the progress we know we've made within ourselves. We create space for our efforts to grow naturally, allowing time for our talents to develop without the need for immediate external acknowledgement. This dedication to working quietly also allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. Without the noise of constantly looking around at others, we become more attuned to our own rhythms, understanding what motivates us and where our true passions lie. In silence, we are not swayed by the opinions of others, and we do not seek approval. Instead, we become grounded in our own sense of purpose, trusting that the work we are doing is important because it aligns with our personal values and desires. By choosing to work in silence, we become masters of our own destiny. We are not waiting for permission, for a pat on the back, or for someone else to recognize our efforts. We simply show up every day, put in the work, and trust that the results will speak for themselves. When we allow our actions to speak louder than words, we demonstrate the depth of our commitment and resilience. The power of working in silence is that it is not driven by the need for validation. It is driven by a deeper understanding of our own potential, an understanding that doesn't need the approval of others to exist. Working in silence is an invitation to detach from the constant pressure to prove ourselves to the world. We live in an age where sharing our achievements, thoughts, and progress is a natural part of daily life. Social media, conversations, and external validation constantly demand that we announce our successes. However, there is power in retreating from this noise, in choosing not to reveal every step we take. When we work in silence, we stop seeking attention and instead focus solely on the quality of what we are creating. This shift allows us to fully immerse ourselves in the process without distractions or comparisons. In silence, we begin to tap into a deeper layer of creativity and innovation. The act of creating without the pressure of external validation enables us to access parts of ourselves that might otherwise remain hidden. We are free from the constraints of external expectations, allowing us to explore new ideas, approaches, and paths that feel true to who we are. This authenticity is born from a space of quiet, where we are not performing for an audience, but instead connecting to the essence of what we are trying to achieve. It's in this quiet, uninterrupted focus that breakthroughs often happen, where we are able to move beyond the limitations of what we think we can do. Moreover, working in silence helps us develop resilience and self-discipline. When we are not constantly looking for recognition, we are forced to rely on our internal drive to stay committed. This type of commitment strengthens our character. It builds a foundation of trust in our own abilities, in our vision, and in the process itself. We learn to be patient, to trust that the work we are doing is valuable and that the results will come even if no one is watching. This internal strength becomes the fuel that propels us forward, even when external encouragement is absent. As we continue to work in silence, something powerful happens. Others begin to notice. They start to see the results of our quiet dedication, the fruits of our labor that were grown away from the spotlight. They may not know the journey we've taken to get there, but they recognize the impact of our efforts. And in that quiet dedication, we find fulfillment. Not in the applause, but in the fact that we've stayed true to ourselves and let our work speak for itself. There is something profoundly transformative about working in silence. In a world that often values noise, visibility, and instant gratification, there's immense power in choosing to dedicate yourself to something quietly, without the need for recognition or applause. This quiet dedication allows you to build something solid, something real that speaks for itself over time. When we focus solely on the work and let go of the desire for constant validation, we create space for true growth. In this silence, we become more attuned to the intrinsic rewards of progress, rather than seeking external markers of success. When we work in silence, we are removing ourselves from the race for attention, and in doing so, we stop comparing ourselves to others. Comparison often clouds our ability to appreciate our own progress. When we step away from the constant noise of social media, conversations, and the demands of others' expectations, we begin to focus more on the journey itself. This shift allows us to reconnect with our deeper purpose, to immerse ourselves in the process of creation, and to take pride in the work we are doing, regardless of whether anyone notices. Moreover, working in silence strengthens our ability to trust ourselves. It encourages us to build confidence in our own abilities and decisions without constantly looking for reassurance or feedback from others. This self-trust is foundational to the creative process and the pursuit of any meaningful goal. When we are not looking for validation, we learn to rely more on our inner guidance, and this leads to a greater sense of alignment with our true potential. It is only when we are not seeking constant approval that we can move beyond the limitations of our own fears and doubts. The work we do in silence is often what ultimately yields the most significant results. It is in the quiet, consistent effort that true mastery is developed. By focusing on the small, incremental steps that we take each day, we lay the groundwork for something much greater. When we stop looking for outside acknowledgement, we open ourselves up to the possibility of deep, meaningful transformation. It is in this space, free from external distractions and pressures, that our most authentic and powerful work comes to life. When we choose to work in silence, we are choosing to work with a deeper sense of purpose that transcends the need for validation. In a world where external recognition is often sought after, silence offers us an opportunity to remove the pressure of constantly measuring our progress against others. Working quietly allows us to focus entirely on the task at hand, to engage with it at the deepest level, and to cultivate mastery without the distraction of external praise or criticism. It's a commitment to the process itself, to the quiet dedication of improvement and creation, free from the noise of the world. In this silence, we find the room to innovate, to experiment, and to grow without the fear of being judged. Many times, we hold ourselves back from trying new things because we are concerned about how they will be perceived. But when we choose not to share every detail of our journey or every step of our progress, we give ourselves permission to fail, to learn, and to evolve without the weight of external opinions. It's in this space of freedom that true creativity is born. We are not bound by anyone's expectations, but our own, which allows us to break free from the limitations of what others think is possible. Working in silence also helps to build an internal resilience. Without the immediate feedback or rewards that come with sharing our progress, we learn to depend on our own internal motivation and drive. This process builds self-discipline and a sense of personal accountability. We become less reliant on others for encouragement and more focused on the work itself. The silence becomes a tool for cultivating patience as we begin to trust in the process rather than seeking quick results or instant gratification. Over time, this internal focus leads to greater clarity, deeper understanding, and a more profound connection to our purpose. In the quiet moments, our true power is revealed. As we persist in our work, undeterred by the need for recognition, we begin to notice the changes that are taking place within ourselves. Our growth is no longer contingent on external acknowledgement, but is rooted in the consistency of our efforts. The beauty of working in silence is that, over time, the results speak for themselves. People will begin to notice the transformation, but they will not fully understand the depth of the journey. They will only see the outcome, the work that has been quietly and steadily cultivated. In a society that thrives on instant gratification and constant communication, the power of working in silence is often underestimated. Yet there is a quiet strength that comes from focusing entirely on your work, free from the constant need to explain, share, or seek approval. When you work in silence, you are aligning yourself with a deeper, more meaningful process. You begin to understand that the journey itself is more valuable than the immediate recognition that often accompanies success. The work becomes its own reward, and this shift in perspective is where real growth begins. In silence, you are able to cut through the noise and distractions that often cloud your focus. Without the need for external validation, you have the freedom to explore, create, and experiment. There is no rush to show others your progress or get feedback at every step of the way. Instead, you allow yourself to be fully immersed in the process, trusting that the results will manifest when the time is right. This approach cultivates a deep sense of patience and self-trust. You no longer need to prove your worth or seek validation, because your worth is inherent in the work you do. Moreover, working in silence allows you to develop a relationship with your own thoughts and ideas without interference. When we are constantly talking about what we are doing, we dilute the potency of our thoughts. By keeping your intentions and actions quiet, you allow your mind to sharpen and your ideas to mature organically. This deep concentration creates fertile ground for true innovation and discovery. Without the external pressure of expectation, you are free to explore new avenues and challenge yourself in ways that you might not have otherwise. The silence also fosters resilience. Without the constant external feedback, you must rely solely on your inner strength to continue pushing forward. This teaches you to be self-reliant, to trust in the process, and to build momentum, even when others are unaware of the effort. This resilience, born out of quiet commitment, strengthens not only your work, but your character. Over time, this discipline of working in silence develops a powerful inner foundation, and when the results finally do emerge, they do so with undeniable force. Others will take notice, but the real reward lies in the journey itself. The growth, the self-discovery, and the satisfaction that comes from knowing you stayed true to your path without needing anyone to witness it. When we choose to work in silence, we are essentially choosing to nurture our inner strength and focus. In a world where external feedback is constantly sought, there's immense power in retreating from this noise. Working quietly offers us the opportunity to be deeply immersed in the present moment, removing the distractions and comparisons that often interfere with the creative process. It allows us to detach from the pressures of others' expectations and truly dedicate ourselves to the task at hand. In these moments, the work becomes the focal point, and the results follow naturally, without the need for constant validation. Silence also provides the space to develop resilience. When we are not constantly seeking reassurance from others, we build a stronger connection to our own inner resources. The journey becomes less about external approval and more about the satisfaction of knowing we are staying true to our purpose. This is where self-discipline flourishes. By working in silence, we train ourselves to persevere even when no one is watching, when the results are not immediate, and when there's no applause. This process builds confidence in our abilities and teaches us that true mastery comes from consistent, quiet effort over time. Furthermore, working in silence encourages us to trust the process. We stop rushing toward outcomes and instead focus on the present moment. In this space, there is no need to justify or explain ourselves to others. We simply commit to the work, knowing that the results will speak for themselves when the time is right. This shift in mindset fosters a deeper connection to our own creativity and intuition, allowing us to act with more clarity and less self-doubt. It's in this calm, focused environment that we can truly tap into our potential, pushing ourselves beyond what we thought was possible without being swayed by external influences. By working quietly, we not only create results, but also cultivate a sense of peace within ourselves. The noise of the world fades, and we become more attuned to our own inner voice. It's in these moments of silent dedication that we experience personal growth, transformation, and the profound satisfaction that comes from knowing our work is meaningful, even if no one else sees it immediately. The true strength lies not in the recognition, but in the quiet, unwavering commitment to our purpose. When we choose to work in silence, we embrace a mindset that is focused not on the applause or the approval of others, but on the intrinsic satisfaction of creating something meaningful. In a world where noise and distractions constantly demand our attention, this silence becomes a powerful tool for real transformation. Working quietly means we are free from the constant need to showcase our progress, whether through social media updates, conversations, or validation from others. This freedom allows us to focus purely on the task at hand, to immerse ourselves in the process, and to trust that our efforts will yield results in due time. By working in silence, we cultivate a deeper sense of inner strength and discipline. But when we are not constantly seeking external feedback, we begin to build a solid foundation of self-trust. We become less reliant on others' opinions and more attuned to our own internal motivations and values. This shift allows us to remain committed to our goals, even when the world around us may not recognize or understand the work we are doing. The more we embrace the quiet, the more we develop a sense of patience and persistence, knowing that our progress is unfolding in its own time, independent of external recognition. Silence also provides the space for creative exploration. When we are not preoccupied with how our work will be received, we are free to take risks, experiment, and try new approaches. Without the pressure of needing to explain ourselves, we are allowed to make mistakes, learn, and grow without fear of judgment. This process is essential for innovation, as it enables us to break free from conventional thinking and discover new solutions and ideas. In the silence, we can tune into our inner voice, trusting our instincts and allowing our creativity to flow without constraint. Ultimately, working in silence teaches us that the journey itself is as important as the destination. It's not about achieving recognition or praise. It's about the commitment to the process, the growth that occurs along the way, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that we are staying true to our purpose. The work done in silence speaks for itself. It may take time for others to recognize the depth of our efforts, but when the results emerge, they will be undeniable. The silent dedication we put into our craft will be reflected in the impact it has, not only on others, but also on ourselves. When you choose to work in silence, you are making a conscious decision to remove the need for immediate acknowledgement. In a world where instant feedback and constant connection are the norms, working quietly shifts your focus away from external validation and places it entirely on the work itself. This space of silence allows for deep introspection, concentration, and creativity to flourish. Without the pressure to share your progress at every turn or to seek recognition, you can fully immerse yourself in the process. This shift from outward attention to inward focus is where the magic happens, where true growth and progress are cultivated. Silence provides the opportunity to deepen your connection with the work you're doing. Without the distractions of outside influences, you're able to truly understand the nuances of your craft. The act of working in isolation, free from others' opinions or expectations, enables you to explore new ideas, try different methods, and make mistakes without the fear of judgment. It's in this space of freedom that we find the courage to push beyond our comfort zones, to innovate, and to create without the limitations of what others might think. Moreover, working in silence encourages self-reliance. When you are not constantly looking for validation, you are forced to trust yourself, your instincts, and your abilities. This strengthens your confidence and builds resilience as you learn to rely on your inner guidance rather than seeking approval from the outside world. The more you work quietly, the more you understand that success is not measured by how many people are watching or praising you. Instead, success becomes about the satisfaction of knowing that you're doing the work, staying true to your vision, and steadily moving toward your goals. In the quiet, you also learn patience. You realize that not every step needs to be announced and not every milestone needs to be celebrated in the moment. This patience allows the work to develop at its own pace without rushing toward the end result. It's about trusting the process and knowing that in time, the work you've done in silence will speak for itself. The impact will be clear not because you've told everyone what you were doing, but because the work itself will reveal the effort, the dedication, and the growth that have taken place. Working in silence teaches us that true success comes from within, from our own commitment to the process, and from our ability to trust that the work we're doing matters. When you decide to work in silence, you step into a space that requires you to trust in the power of your own actions without needing immediate validation or recognition. In a world driven by constant updates and visibility, choosing to operate quietly shifts your focus from external opinions to your own inner world. It's in this silence that true work is cultivated, as it allows for undistracted, pure engagement with your craft. Without the need to explain or justify your efforts to others, you create a fertile ground for deeper exploration and creativity, where every decision, every movement, is made for the sake of the work itself rather than to satisfy the expectations of others. The beauty of silence in your work is that it fosters a deep connection with the process. When there is no constant need to check in with others or gain their approval, you are free to experiment and grow in ways that might otherwise be constrained. You are no longer concerned with how things might be perceived, only with how they feel and whether they align with your internal compass. This shift is liberating because it removes the noise that often distracts from the true essence of what you're creating. Working in silence allows you to fully own your progress and your setbacks without the need to explain or defend your path. In this space, you also learn to cultivate patience. When we constantly share our progress or ask for feedback, we often seek reassurance that we are on the right track. But in silence, you learn to trust the journey. You come to understand that results may take time, and that's okay. The work becomes less about proving something to others and more about creating something that is authentic and meaningful to you. You begin to appreciate the small, incremental progress that takes place in silence, knowing that it all adds up over time to something significant. Silence also nurtures a deep sense of self-reliance. Without the constant need for external validation, you develop the strength to rely on your inner resources. Your confidence grows because you no longer need to seek approval or recognition at every step. Instead, you trust in your own instincts and decisions, knowing that each quiet effort contributes to something bigger. Eventually, the work that has been done in silence will speak for itself. It may not always be immediate, but when the time is right, the impact will be undeniable.